Okay, so today we're going to go over section 4.4, which is basic operations with matrices. And we're going to do adding, subtracting, and multiplying matrices. And these are the operations. So what is matrix first? So matrix is a little table which looks like this. So if you have table, which could be any row, any column. So this is how the matrix looks like. So you have, I'm going to use A1, 1, A1, 2, A1, 3, and so on. So these are the elements in first row, first column, first row, second column, first row, third column, and so on, right? And then the second row is going to be A21, A22, A23, and so on. And then you can have a third row, first column, third row, second column, third row, third column, and so on. And this matrix can be huge, okay? So there's another math class which works with matrices, which is called linear algebra. So pretty much matrices can be as big as you can imagine technically, okay? So you have matrix, think about in Excel, you have a table, right? We have row and columns. So here we have, so these are the rows, right? And these are the columns. So now the matrix have the dimension. So the dimension of the matrix is how many rows times by how many columns. So if I look at this one A, B, C, D, this matrix here, we have 2 rows. So the dimension is 2 by 2 columns, right? So 2 by 2. Okay, how about the second matrix here? W, X, Y, Z. So this matrix have also 2 by 2, right? So the dimension of the matrix is how many rows, how many columns that little table have, okay? So the dimension, it's important because when you do the operations, some operations you have to have the same dimension. So when you add or subtract, so for both of those operations, adding and subtracting matrices, they have to be the same dimension. So you can add 2 by 2 and 2 by 2, the same dimensions. And the answer is going to be also 2 by 2, right? You have, this is one number, this is another. So 2 elements in the first row, 2 elements in the second row. So there are 2 rows and 2 columns. So if you add or subtract, this is how the operation goes. You actually added A plus W, element by element, you adding them. And then you add in B plus X, and then you do the second row. So you're just adding them. So that's it. Now the multiplication, the operation of multiplication of a constant, it's when you multiply, so you're multiplying the number K by the matrix, you technically multiply K, each of the numbers by K, okay? That's how the operation goes. And then the other operation we're going to talk about is the matrix multiplication. And in this operation, you have to have 2 matrices. So the dimension goes like this: A by B and C by D. You can do them if the inside this and this are the same. So you can multiply 2 matrices if the number of columns is the same like the number of rows in the first and the second column, the second matrices. Okay, and the result is gonna be, the answer matrix is gonna be A by D, and I'll explain that. And here we're multiplying row by column, okay? And if B and C are not the same, you can, the product is undefined, it's not defined, right? So if they're not the same. And I'm going to explain, I'm going to give you examples, and we're going to do all these operations. So just these are the rules, and we're going to just apply those rules. So these are pretty much the operations we're going to do today in class. So 4.4 is going over adding, subtracting, multiplying matrix by number, and multiplying two matrices. So let's start with adding and subtracting. So here we have two matrices. What is the dimension of the first one? Can you tell me this one? What is the dimension? How many rows?
It's 3 by 3.
3 by 3, that's right. Good job. Thank you. What is the dimension of this one?
It's 3 by 3.
It's again 3 by 3. Thank you. So if you have the same dimensions, so the two matrices have the same dimensions, you can add or subtract them. So how I'm going to do that operation? What's going to be the result? The result also going to be 3 by 3. So I'm going to get the same dimension. And this is how you do it. You do 7 plus 8. 7 plus 8 is what? 15. So that's my first number. Then I'm going to do, I'm just going to do row by row. I'm going to do the next one. I'm adding 3 plus 3 is 6. And then I'm going to add, I'm going to just box it, 9 plus negative 4, or technically 9 minus 4 is what? 5, right? So this is my first row. Then I'm going to do the next row the same way, element by element. So we're doing negative 7 plus 2. Negative 7 plus 2 is negative 5. That's my answer. Then I'm doing 2 plus negative 1, which is 1. And then I'm doing 4 plus negative 3 is also 1. Okay, everybody get the idea? So going element by element. Then the next one you're doing, the next row, the last row, is negative 3 plus 7, which is 4. And then 5 plus 10 is going to be 15. And then you're doing the last two numbers, negative 7 plus 0 is negative 7. And that's my final answer. Any questions? Do you guys have any questions? So that's how you do it. It's that simple. Yes? You got it? Let's do one more. So here we have 2 by 2, right? And the second one is 2 by 2. So my answer is also going to be 2 by 2. So I'm going to start 5 plus negative 5 is 0. Then I have negative 6 plus 6 is also 0. And then I have negative 3 plus 3, it's also 0. And then I have the final one is 4, and minus 4 is also 0, which is okay. So this is the 0 matrix. Okay? Everybody understand that? So whatever you get, you just do the operation with numbers, and whatever number you get, that's the position, the number in that position. Okay? So far so good? Everybody doing good?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's do number 3.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
On that number 2, where everything comes out to 0,
Yes.
whenever, let's say for the homework, is it going to ask us like just for a 0, or is it going to ask us to fill it out completely like that?
It's going to be completely like that. Yes, thank you for asking that. It's important that the answer is not just a 0. It's not a number. It's a matrix with all elements 0, 0, 0. Okay?
Okay.
So it's different than 0, just the number 0. Okay, this is a matrix. So you have to have, because when you put it like in this format, also keep the dimension of the matrix is 2 by 2 also, right? That's important. It's also 2 by 2. That means you have to have all these 4 zeros. Make sense?
It won't ask like if it's undefined.
Okay, undefined, I'll tell you what is undefined. So this is not undefined. Yes, I'll show you. The next one is undefined. So let me show you what undefined means. Okay, so we do number 3. So number 3, what is the dimension for the first one? How many rows? 2 by 1 column, right? 2 by 1. Now the next matrix here, you have 1 row and 2 columns, right? So this is undefined because they're not the same. So 2 by 1 is not the same like 1 by 2. So this one is undefined. Everybody understand that? It's undefined because the operations is undefined because the dimension of the matrix is not the same. Make sense? Any questions on this?
Will we ever have to make it defined or somehow make those?
No, you
rows?
can
No?
make it defined. If the matrices are not the same, you can do the operation.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions? Any other questions? You guys have really good questions. So the operation is undefined if the dimension of the matrices are not the same for adding and subtracting. For multiplying is a little different. We'll talk about that later. Okay, so the next operation is subtracting. So you have minus, right? So you have matrix minus matrix. So how you do that? The same way. So we have to check the dimension. First one is 2 by 2. And the second one is 2 by 2. So we can do it, right? We can do the operation. So my answer also going to be 2 by 2. And how you do it? You do the same. 7 minus negative 3. So that's going to be plus 3. So careful when you subtract, the sign is going to change always. So it's going to be 7 plus 3 is going to be 10. The first number is going to be 10. So careful when you subtract. Okay, the next operation here, the next element is going to be negative 2 minus 5. So I have negative 2 minus 5 is going to be negative 7. Okay, then you're doing the next element by element. So I have negative 5 minus negative 3. And that negative make it positive. So I have negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2. So the number here is going to be negative 2. So you have to be in the same position. Second row, first column. Okay, make sense? Then the last one, you have negative 4 minus 4, which is negative 8. I'm writing it down because it's important when you subtract. You have to be careful with this minus because this negative here is very tricky. Be careful with that minus between the matrices. And that's my answer. The dimension is also 2 by 2. Okay, everybody get that?
Yes, ma'am. Can you distribute that negative to those 4 numbers before?
Absolutely,
And
you
then
can do that. Yes, you can do that. This negative, you can distribute it and make the operation plus. Yes, you can do that.
Okay.
Okay. Let's do the next one the same way. We're gonna do, we have 3 by 3, 3 row, 3 columns, both of those. So the operation is okay. We can do the operation. And if you want, let's distribute the negative. So this negative is going to be negative, negative, positive, negative, negative, 0 is still 0, negative, negative, and negative, and this negative become positive, right? So we're changing the subtraction to addition when you distribute the negative to everything inside. And then you're going to add them. So 9 minus 10 is negative 1. 5 minus 5 is 0. And then 11 plus 2 is 13. Then I'm going to go to the second row. So the second row, we have negative 5 minus 4 is negative 9. Then 4 minus 1 is 3. Just careful here, don't rush because with these numbers it's easy to make mistakes. So we have 6 plus 0 is 6. And then you have one more row to do. You have negative 1 minus 9 is negative 10. 7 minus 12 is going to be negative 5. And then negative 5 minus 2 is negative 7. And that's my answer. The dimension is also 3 by 3. And that's what I get. Okay? And then the next one, we have number 6. Do you guys have questions here or are you good? Okay, number 6, we have the first one is 2 by 2. And the second matrix, you have 2 rows and 3 columns. So these are not the same, so that's why this is undefined. Okay? Just put undefined. You don't do anything because they don't have the same dimension. Okay? So that's how you add or subtract two matrices. So far, so good. Everybody doing good so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So then you're going to number 7 and 8 is multiplying matrix by constant, by a number. So when you multiply any matrix by any number, you're just gonna multiply that number by all the numbers inside. Okay. So here multiplying 3 by, so the dimension of the matrix doesn't matter because you're gonna multiply 3, the number in front, by everything inside. So my answer is gonna be also 2 by 2, right? That's what I have. And then you multiply 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 6, 18. 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. And 3 times 5 is 15. That's it. Everybody good? Distribute, just distribute the, hold on. Trying to make this better, negative 24. Okay, then let's do the next one, the same idea, multiply. Now here, multiply by negative number. When you multiply by negative, just keep in mind, careful with the negative, always be careful with the negative. So negative 2 times 5 is negative 10. And then negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 times negative is going to be positive 12. And then you're doing the second row. Negative times negative is positive 6. Negative negative is positive 4. And then negative negative again is positive 2. So this is my answer. Just careful with the negative. Okay? So far, so good?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes? Okay. So the next two or few questions, we're gonna practice multiplying two matrices. So how you multiply two matrices? We're gonna start with the first example. So here we need to see the dimension. So the first one is 2 by 2. And the second one is also 2 by 2, right? Now these two numbers have to be the same. If they're not the same, the operation is undefined, okay? So we have 2 in this one, this second row columns, and these rows are 2. So they have to be the same. Now, the answer is going to be what are the outside? So the answer is going to be 2 by 2. That's what the answer is going to be. So my answer, when I multiply, I'm going to get 2 by 2. So I'm going to have one number here, one number here, one number here, one number here. 4 numbers, right? That's how 2 by 2 looks like. Now, let's go back to the notation. This number here, the first one is going to be first row and first column, right? This one here is first row and second column. This one is second row and first column, and this is second row and second column. I'm writing this because this is going to help me to know how I'm going to do that. So first I'm going to start with 1, 1, the first number I'm going to get here. So the first number, I'm multiplying the first row and first column. And when I do that, I'm going to multiply element by element. So first row and first column. And this is how you do it. So I'm multiplying 1 times 1. So element by element. Or let's do it like this. I'm just going to write all the steps. 1 times 1 plus I'm multiplying the second element, negative 5 times 7. Everybody see what I'm doing? So I'm multiplying 1 times 1, negative 5 times, I'm sorry, 4. See? You need to follow, you need to go down. So you have negative 1, 1 times 1, and then negative 5 and 4. Okay? So you go through the row and then you go through the column and multiply number by number. And then after you do that, you're going to simplify. 1 times 1 is 1. And then this should be minus 20. So that's what is going to give me here. The number is going to be negative 19. Everybody get that? So we multiplied row by column. Okay? Then the next number here, which have index 1 and 2, I'm going to multiply the first row, so the same row, but with the second column now. And I'm going to do the same. 1 times 7 plus negative 5 times negative 2. Okay? So 1 times 7 plus, it's always plus, negative 5, negative 2. If there are more, you just continue to that row, continue to that column down. Okay? So when I do that, what I have? 7 plus 10, right? Because negative, negative, it's positive 10. So I'm going to get 7 plus 10 is 17. Everybody so far so good?
Yes, ma'am.
And then
Can
I'm
you,
doing this number here. So this number here has, I'm going to need to multiply second row and first column. So that's second row here. And then I'm going to go to the first column down here. Okay? So I'm going to multiply negative 2 times 1 plus 4 times 4. And that's negative 2 plus 4 times 4 is 16. So actually 16 minus 2 is going to be 14. That's my number there. And then I have one more to go. So I'm multiplying now. I'm going to multiply the last number here. Is going to be second row and second column. So it's always a row and column. So I'm doing second row and second column down here. So I'm doing negative 2 times 7 plus 4 times negative 2. And that's going to be negative 14 minus 8 is going to be negative 22. Okay, so that's how you do it. So my answer matrix when I multiply those two is going to be negative 19, 17, 14, negative 22. Okay? Any questions? Everybody understand the method? How to
yes,
do
ma'am.
it?
Can
Yes?
you
Yes.
can you just write on that sheet always add? I guess on that
Yes,
third.
absolutely.
That way I
Yes.
remember when I look back at it, I can remember it's always going to
Absolutely.
be.
Always add. So multiply, but always add. Okay? So that's how you do it. Now let's do it again. We're going to do it again and again. We're going to practice. The rest of it is just multiplying. So let's do the next one the same way. So let's see what is the dimension here. The dimension is 3 by 3. And this is 3 by 3. So these are the same. So we're good. And the answer is going to be 3 by 3, right? So I'm going to have 3 numbers here and 3 numbers. So I'm going to start with the first one here. So I'm doing first row and first column. So I'm going to the first row and going down to the first column. And I'm going to write it here. So element 1, 1. I'm going to write everything so you can see how that works till we get used to the operation. So first row, first column. This is the one, the first number here. So it's going to be 6 times 7 plus 2 times 1 plus 8 times 6. 6 times 7 is 42, right? Plus 2 plus 48. 50, so that's gonna be 50, 92. Is that right? So guys, do the math with me. A lot of numbers, so just be careful. Sometimes it's very easy to make mistake, right? Okay, so that's the first number. Let's go ahead and do the next one. And usually I'm just doing row by row. So I'm going to do this number, which is first row and second column. So we have the element first row and second column is going to be when I multiply again the first row. And now I'm going through the second column. So I'm multiplying 6 times 2. I'm sorry. Yeah, 6 times 2 plus 2 times negative 2 plus 8 times 9. Okay, everybody see that? 6 times 2. So multiplying 6 times these 2. And then 2 times negative 2, and then 8 times 9. So we have 12 minus 4 plus 72. So we need to do that. What is 12 minus 4 plus 72? What you guys get? 80?
80.
Okay. And then you're going to the next one, the next number. So next one is going to be here, which is element first row and third column, right? So we're going to do A, first row and third column is going to be, you're going to do the first row again, and you're going to do the third column, going down to the third column. So you have 6 times negative 5 plus 2 times negative 3 plus 8 times negative 1. Yes? So we're going to do 6 times negative 5 is negative 30. And then 2 times negative is negative 6. And then negative 8 again. So when you add these three numbers, they're all negative. So you're going to add actually 30 plus 6 plus 8. And you're going to keep it negative. So it's going to be negative 44. Is that what you get? Okay, then you're going to the next row. So here we need to find 9 numbers because the dimension is 3 by 3, right? So we're going to go this one, which is second row and first column. So we have second row, and now you're doing the first column. So I'm going to do this times this. So I'm going to write it here, 2 and 1. It's going to be negative 8 times 7 plus 1 times 1 plus 3 times 6. 7 times 8 is negative 56 plus 18 plus 1 is 19. So when I do that, I'm going to get, as I have 19 minus 56, I get negative 37. Is that correct? Did you guys get that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. Then we're going to go to the next one, which is this number here. And this is second row, second column. So we're going to do second row. And now we're doing the second column, going down to the second column. So we have negative 8 and 1 and 3. That's the second row. And then you have 2, -2, and 9. So it's going to be -16 here. And -2 is -18 plus 27. So technically I have to do 27 subtract 18. It's going to be 9. Okay? Then we have to go to the next number, which is here. Second row and third column. So we're doing second row again. And I'm doing the third column. So we're going to have A, 2, and 3. So I'm going to do -8 times -5 plus 1 times -3 and 3 times -1. So that's going to give me 5 times negative, positive 40. And those two are -3 and -3 is -6. So 40 minus 6 is going to be 34. Yes?
How did the 40 turn out positive? Oh, never mind, never mind. I saw the negative sign. Okay.
Yes, we have two negative. That's why it's positive 40, yes.
Okay.
Okay, you got it? Okay, then we have one more row to go. Just one more row. So the last row is going to be this number here is third row and first column. So I'm going to do A, 3, and 1. So I'm doing the third row and going through the first column. So it's going to be -4 times 7 plus 4 times 1 plus -8 times 6. So that's going to be -28 plus 4 and -48. So when I do that, I'm going to get, so I have 4 minus 28 minus 48. I get -72. Did you guys get that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then you're going to the next one, which is this number down, or let's do this one. This number here, which is third row and second column. I'm going to write it here, A, 3, 2. It's going to be third row again. Now we're going to go to the third column, a second column, sorry, second. So we're going to get this by this. So it's going to be -4 times 2 plus 4 times -2 plus -8 times 9. Okay? So we're doing this by this. And we're going to get -8. And another -8 is -16. And minus 9 times 8 is 72. So when I add those two numbers, I'm going to get so 16 plus 72 is -88. Okay? And then we have one more to go, just one more number to calculate, which is this number down here in the last one is 33, which is 833. So here multiplying third row and third column. So we have again -4 times -5 plus 4 times -3 plus -8 times negative 1. So here we have 20, positive 20, minus 12, and plus 8. So actually I have to subtract 20 plus 8 is 28. Subtract 12 is going to be 16. Okay, so that's how you do those multiplication. Okay, this is kind of big matrix, but that's how you do it. Okay, any questions? I just put all the work here so you can see what's happened and you can have it for reference later on. And then we have few more to do. Number 11, we have to multiply numbers and matrices also. So here what you're doing, you're going to multiply 3 by this, 4 by the second, and then you're going to multiply the matrices. So that's where you're going to start. You're going to multiply 3 by everything. So the first matrix, and also there 2 by 2, both of those, so you can do the multiplication. So we have 12, negative 3, negative 15, and 6. So that's my first matrix when I multiply by 3. And then the second matrix, I'm going to multiply everything by 4. So it's going to be negative 4. 4 times 5 is 20. 2 times 4 is 8. And negative 16. So these are the numbers. And then I need to multiply those two matrices because they have the same dimension. You can do that. And the answer is also going to be 2 by 2. So let's start with the first number. So the first number is 1, 1. So I'm going to multiply first row and first column. So I'm doing this row and this column. So it's going to be 12 times negative 4 plus negative 3 times 8. So it's going to be negative 48 minus 24. And that's going to be negative 72, right? Okay, so that's the first one. Then let's go ahead and do the second element here, which is going to be first row and second column. So I need to multiply first row and second column. So going again first row, and now we're doing the second column. So I have 12 times 20 plus negative 3 times negative 16. So double check, be careful, you have to get the same, right? So 12 times 20 is 240. Negative, negative, it's plus 48, right? And when I add those two numbers, it's going to be 288. Okay, everybody so far so good?
Yes, ma'am.
Then you're going to go to the next element here. It's going to be second row and first column. So now we're going to go here, and now we're going to go to the first column. So I'm going to write it A, 2 and 1 is going to be negative 15 times negative 4 plus 6 times 8. So don't rush element by element, right? And then negative, negative is going to be positive. 15 times 4 is 60 plus 48. That's going to be 108. Okay, and then we have one more to go. So the last one we're going to do is going to be this number here, which is second row and second column. So the element 2 and 2 is going to be when I go through the second row and second column. So I'm going to multiply negative 15 times 20 plus 6 times negative 16. Okay, so negative times positive is negative 300. And then minus, because positive 6 times negative 16 is going to be negative 96. And when I add those two, it's going to be negative 396. Okay, so that's how you do the, this is a little more complicated operation because you have to multiply by number and then multiply the two matrices you get. Okay, but that's how you do it. Okay, then you're going to number 12, where you have to multiply two matrices. So here we have to double check the dimension, make sure the dimensions are good. So let's double check. So the first one, we have how many rows? 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be 3 by 2, right? Then the next matrix here, we have 1, 2 rows and only 1 column. Now checking the inside, 2 and 2 are the same, right? If they're the same, you can do it. And the answer is going to be 3 by 1. So the answer is 3 by 1. So it's going to have 3 rows and 1 column. So you're going to have 1, 2, 3 numbers here. Okay? And the indexes are going to be, the first is going to be 1, 1. Next one is going to be 2, 1. And next one is going to be 3, 1. So I'm multiplying first row, first column, second row, first column, and third row by first column. So that's how you're going to do it. So let's start with the first one. So multiplying first row and first column here. It's only 1 column actually. So I'm going to write element 1, 1 is going to be 1 times 3. Let me delete this because it looks like minuses. So multiplying 1 times 3 plus negative 2 times negative 5. So that's going to be 3 plus 10. It's going to be 13. So my first number is 13. Then I'm going to go, the second one is going to be A, 2 and 1. So I'm multiplying the second row and the same column. So it's going to be 0 times 3 plus 4 times negative 5. 0 times 3 is 0, and it's going to be negative 20. And then I have one more to go. Oops, sorry. So I have the third one, A, 3, 1. I'm multiplying the third row and the first column. So I'm going to multiply 5 times 3 plus negative 1 times negative 5. So it's going to be 15 plus 5 is positive 20. Okay, so that's how you do those. Any questions so far? Any questions in the last one? Everybody get the idea?
Yeah, so why was that not undefined again? Can you explain that to me, please?
Yes, so it's undefined because this number and this number are the same. If they're the same, you can do the operation. If these two numbers are different, then it's undefined. And this is only for the multiplying.
So, for example, the next one, 13, that one would be undefined, correct?
Yes, let's double check. Yes, let's double check 13. So 13, we have 2 by 1, right? And this one you have 3 by 2. Yes, this one is going to be undefined because these two numbers are not the same. Absolutely correct, yes. Everybody understand that? Because 1 and 3, those two numbers, the indexes for the dimension, these two numbers are not the same.
So it's the last number, okay, all right.
Yes. So the inside, the last in the first one and the first in the Now, also keep in mind when I multiply, let's say matrix A times matrix B, this operation can be defined, but the other one, like B, it's different than B times A. So when you multiply two matrices, the operations, you can switch them. Like if you multiply number 2 times 3 is the same like 3 times 2, right? But when you multiply two matrices, you can switch them. You can put it the first in the first place. You can, like if I have this matrix and this matrix, if I switch them, put this, the bigger one first, it's gonna be a different. They're not gonna be the same. Make sense?
So we're not able to. So we shouldn't flip them. To
Don't
make
flip it. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Don't flip them. You got it? Okay, and then we have one more to go, the same idea. So we have 2 by 2, and this is 2 by 2, so we can do it because these two are the same. I mean, they're all 2's, but these two have to be the same, so we can do this. And the answer is gonna be what you have here and here. So my answer is gonna be also 2 by 2. Okay? Everybody get that? I'm just gonna put a line here so it's clear. Okay, so let's do the last one. So we're gonna multiply 2 by 2, and the answer is gonna look like 4 numbers, right? 2 by 2 also. So it's gonna have one number here, and 2 more down here. And the elements are 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, and 2, 2. So let's write it. So I'm gonna do the first one. So you're gonna have A1, 1. So we have multiply first row and first column. So it's gonna be 2 times 0 plus negative 3 times 1. So this is 0 and this is negative 3, right? Then you go into the next number, which is 2 and 1. I'm sorry, 1 and 2, backwards. 1 and 2 is first row and now second column. So it's going to be 2 times 1 plus negative 3 times 0. So now this is 0. So the answer is 2. Okay? Then I'm going to go to the next one, which is 2, 1. So I'm going to do second row and first column. So it's 5 times 0 plus negative 4 times 1. So that's negative 4. And then you have one more to go, which is 2, 2. We multiply second row and second column. So you have 5 times 1 plus negative 4 times 0. So that's going to be 5. Okay, any questions? Everybody understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's the lecture for today. I'm gonna stop it.